Hey, what's up? Joe South, FRCC Community College, Westminster campus. Where today you're going to look at one of our lifts, just kind of the controls that how our lifts work. So this is a rotary lift. Right now I'm going to be looking at this lift. This is a 7,000 pound lift. We can see that on the side over here. We've got some other instructions, but the lifting controls are fairly easy on this lift. This button up here, that's our up and down button. This is our lowering button. But off to the side over here, we see this handle up here. This is our lower, this is our lock release lever. Okay. So to be able to go up and down with this vehicle, we're going to be able to hit our buttons here. This is our up. This is our lift's going up. This is our down. Our lift is going down. But when we get it up on the locks, we have to pull this lock lever down and then lower down. So simple controls on this. One button up, one lever down. As we go down, we do have to hold this lock lever all the way in the down position. So I'll show you. We'll get up to the up position here. We'll get it on a lock. I don't have the car on it right now. I've got the car backed up enough to where there's not going to be any concern of the arms hitting the car right now. But I'm going to go up with it. Before we go up with any of our lifts, we want to, just in the abundance of caution, we want to say clear. So I'm going to yell clear loudly, typically before I go up and down with any of our lifts. So when I come over the controls, I've got the car, I've got the lift set underneath the vehicle. This is where I'm going to want to just make sure that, hey, I can't see the other side of the car. If somebody is still over there trying to set that lift, I have the opportunity to crush their hand between the lift arm and the car, their head, which has been done before. People have been killed by that type of thing. So we always want to, just in the abundance of caution, we're going to yell clear at this college, this campus, Larimer campus. We're going to yell clear before we go up and down with any of these vehicles. You guys are new students. You don't work around this equipment every day yet, but you will. You're not going to see this level of precaution taken in a lot of shops, but this is something that we're going to do on our campuses here at Front Range Community College, just to keep you guys safe. So before I go up with this vehicle, I'm going to say clear, and this is just going to make sure that the people on the other side of the vehicle know that I'm getting ready to go up with the vehicle, and that they're going to either take themselves out of the way, or they're going to say, wait, don't lift the vehicle up. Okay, so if I say clear, I'm going to wait for my partner, my group partner, to say clear as well. So you're going to say clear loudly, clear, and you're going to wait to hear your partner or partners say clear as well. At that point in time, we're going to go up. Okay, once they say clear, we go up with our lift. I'm just pressing the button in, which is taking our lift arms up. You should be able to see them very shortly popping up here. You may be able to hear the locks engaging. There'll be a series of clicks. There was one just there. Another click. And another click. Those are the locks. They're just, the arms are moving up past those locks. Okay, and we can see our lift arms back here. Okay, we've got our lift arms coming up here, and we'll kind of go into what the process is with those, getting them under the vehicle here in a little bit. Okay, once I get it to a level that I want, my lift arms, you'll see them go down, and eventually they'll stop. So right now I'm just on the lowering lever. That's just going to lower that car until we get to the level that we want. Okay, if we look at our lift lock releases now, this ball here, I can't pull all the way down on it yet. So if I'm getting ready to lower this vehicle back down, I want to be able to hold on to this lock release. I'm going to yell clear again, clear. So I want to make sure that my partner's not under the vehicle anymore. You want to give it a good look front and back just to make sure that everything from under the vehicle is out. Your toolbox, your oil drain buckets, those types of things. And then I'm going to hit the up button again. Okay. So this up button, this is going to allow me to raise the vehicle off the locks. So I'm going to go up, And now you can see that my arm has went from this position to this position. Now I know that I've released the locks on this vehicle, or on this lift. And then I'm just going to hold the down lever and the lock release at the same time. So I'm holding that, and we'll be able to watch that the lift arms go all the way back down. The arms go down fairly slowly when there's not a vehicle in it. Typically the weight of the vehicle helps the hydraulic fluid get back into the lift. So it goes a lot faster typically with a car on it. So one thing that we always want to do while we're lowering a car is we always want to make sure that both sides of the car is going down generally the same speed and at the same rate. If I've got one side of the car that goes down and the other side is not going down at all, then I might have a lock that's stuck on that vehicle. So at that point in time, we don't want to go down any farther. We want to get a hold of the lift company to see what's going on with the locks. Okay. Once I get all the way down, I can release my lock, release my lower lever, and then the car is back down on the ground. Good. Okay, another thing that we want to do, I'm sitting inside this Toyota Prius. You may or may not be able to see me. Stick my arm out and wave. And I'm going to just make sure I get this vehicle set up on the lift correctly. The way that I want to set this vehicle up on the lift is I want it to be centered left and right between the posts, and I don't want it too far forward or too far back in the posts as well. This is an asymmetrical style lift, so that the main beams of this lift, the two big blue pieces on the side, they're kind of at an angle. So what that does is that helps you not have to have the car so far forward as we are going into the lift. It's going to help us center the center of gravity on that lift a little bit farther back than we would on a symmetrical lift. Okay, so there's an advantage to that because of getting out of the vehicle. So now I have the opportunity to open the door a lot farther for me to be able to exit the vehicle when I have the lift or the car on the lift correctly. Okay, so I'm really just wanting to center this car left and right and front to back. Now, as you guys are doing this, you're going to be watching your spotter. Your spotter is going to get you centered as best as you can, left, right, front, back. Okay, in my 15 years at a shop, I never, ever, ever got a car 100% perfect on a lift. Okay, I'm always going to be maybe a little bit too far to the left or a little bit too far to the right, maybe a tiny bit too far forward or a tiny bit too far back. Okay, it's such a small target to hit to being perfect on this rack. But the way that these racks are set up, it allows you that you don't have to be 100% perfect. We just want to make sure that we're getting our side mirrors within the width of the lift posts, these two side posts. So if my side mirror is anywhere in between the front side of this rack and the back side of this rack, we're usually in good shape. So we'll go into setting up the lift arms next. So when it comes to lifting a vehicle correctly, we always want to make sure that we have the same kind of adjustment on our arms as on each side, front and back, left and right. So a lot of our lifts have these feet that screw up and down. Okay, that's going to just help you contact the frame or the pinch weld a little bit better. Okay, when we're looking at where we find our lift points on a vehicle, we're going to find that information, service manual, owner's manual. A lot of the times you're going to have that information. This is a two-stage foot, so we have two different types of threads. So this foot can go up fairly high. If we were lifting a vehicle with a little bit higher, like pinch weld, so say a smaller SUV, we might want to use a little stilt on this arm to get us set in a better way. Okay, so again, we'd want to use the same front and back unless I have a real big slope to my frame, like it goes up higher or lower on the front or rear, and side to side. So with this car, this 2008 Prius, I think, we're not going to need to use any stilts with this guy. Okay, I just want to make sure that my feet are kind of threaded up similar heights. They don't have to be exact, but similar. Knowing this vehicle, I know that I'm going to be lifting this vehicle from its pinch weld. Then once I get it up in the air, I'll show you guys exactly where I'm lifting this from. But we would find that information on All Data and MotoLogic. That's going to be the best place. All right, now that I've got all 4 lift arms set, I'm just going to go ahead and go up with the vehicle. I am alone in the shop right now. I know that there's not any students running around. I know that I don't have my lab partner's not over there, but I'm still going to go through the same process. To be able to keep this process clear in your mind, you should do the same thing every single time. Clear! Okay, I didn't hear anything. I'm going to go ahead and go up with the vehicle. So as I'm going up with the vehicle, I'm watching it. I did see that the driver's side seemed to contact the frame sooner than the passenger side. Okay, I'm going to go up. I'm going to lift this vehicle to a semi-comfortable point. What I'm really looking at doing here is I'm just looking at getting somewhere where I can kind of push down on this vehicle to kind of rock it on the lift. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and use this tow hook. Okay. This is called the shake test. Okay, you can do this with the vehicle 6 inches from off the ground. You can do this with the vehicle at this height. I would say the tires are probably a foot to 14 inches off the ground. Okay, but because this car is kind of low, and I want to use as much leverage as I can to push this vehicle up and down. I don't hear the lift making any noises. I don't feel like the lift arms are lifting off the vehicle. So I'm going to go ahead and go up with the car all the way. This is a safe lift at this point. The car is not going to fall off. At this point, I just want to get the car up to a comfortable level to where I can walk under the vehicle with minimal danger of me hitting my head on something. So if you're working with a group partner, one of you is short, one of you is tall, you guys are going to have to find that happy medium of what's going to work. Okay. I will probably come over to your car a few times during your career here where I will say, hey, lift this car up a little bit farther. And that's because I don't want to bend down as I'm coming over to look at your vehicle and get it up in the air. Okay. So notice one thing, I lifted it all the way up until it stopped. You may or may not have been able to hear this, but you should have heard that motor kind of pitch noise change. That means we're up at the top of the travel of the pistons of that rack. Okay, I can't go any farther. And then again at the very end, I hit the lever, and now we go down onto the locks. Putting a lift on the locks helps the seals inside those pistons and those rams last a lot longer. We're not going to do any damage to those. They're going to be able to keep this lift in a good, maintained usage. We're going to be able to get more time out of it if we constantly put it on the locks. Okay, and if something happened to fail, I'm already on the locks. I don't have to go down. The lift doesn't have to free fall for a couple, 3-4 inches before it hits a lock, which is really a way safer way to work. Okay, we are under the lift now, and we're just looking at where our lift points are. Okay, this piece of metal right here, right on the edge of the car, this is called the pinch weld. This is a lot of the times on a unibody car, this is where you're going to lift from. So we can see the center point of this lift would be here. I'm a little bit off-centered of the center point of the lift, right? If I wanted to do this 100% perfect, I would pull this back to where this pinch point is right on the center of those threads of that foot. That's just going to make sure that we have the safest lift possible. Okay, we're going to go back here to the rear, and again, we're using the pinch point as well. And again, I'm just a little bit off-centered for that, but that's really not a safety concern. We have a nice wide foot. I'm still over the metal portion, and this rubber pad is just there for traction too. So this is going to help so that the lift does not move. Okay, so I'm looking at all four. We look a little bit better centered on this one, a little bit more centered to the foot, and maybe a little worse on that one. Okay, but this is a nice, good, safe lift. I don't have just this lift point. If I wanted to go over here to this little square tubing here, this is actually part of the car's frame as well. So a unibody car has typically a frame piece that runs front to back. You'll see it's a square type tubing, and I can see that, ooh, I can get a little bit on this side as well, right? So if let's say that these arms couldn't get out to the pinch weld, I would be able to lift the car from this point as well. So still, another good safe point to be. Most of the time when you run into issues setting your lift arms, it's going to be in the front because you might not have the car as far forward as it should be or as far backwards as it should be, and sometimes the lift arms aren't going to line up and get you where you need to be. So this looks good. I wouldn't worry about working on this car, pulling the engine and transmission on this car. Anything that we would do to this car at this point in time would be a safe procedure. All right, that's how we lift it. I'll show you how we lower it down. Okay, now that I'm ready to take this car down, again, I'm going to just make sure that there's nothing under the vehicle. Most of the time you guys are going to get used to going up and down with stuff and not having to worry about checking every single time. When you're done with your tool cart, you're going to roll it out. When you're done with your oil bucket, you're going to roll that out. But in this case, because as we're learning, this is a new environment for you, we're going to just double check everything, make sure there's no people or things underneath the vehicle. Clear. I'm waiting for my partner to say clear. Obviously, I don't have one right now. Okay, I've gone up. I pull down on my lock lever, and then I just push my lower lever on the actual hydraulic unit here, and my car is now coming down. If I were to do anything with this car, let's say I was going to go up and down a few times with this vehicle, I'm not going to want to put the car all the way down to let the lift arms come off of the vehicle. If I wanted to go back up with this car, I would leave the car probably at a height where the wheels are barely just touching the ground. So now my tires have just barely touched the ground again. If I needed to go back up with this car, now I'm fairly safe to do so. I know that my car hasn't rolled forwards or backwards. So when I put this all the way down, I want you to just make sure you're paying attention to the wheels and tires. So look at your wheels and tires and just tell me if you see any roll forwards or backwards as soon as the lift comes off of the car. Okay, so there's a little bit of roll towards the rear of the vehicle as soon as I got those lift arms off of the vehicle. So because of that, I don't want to always take this car off, disengage those lift arms from the vehicle. I always want to keep them on the vehicle because that's going to help the car not roll backwards and forwards. Because if I do that 5 or 10 times, yeah, it didn't move very far backwards, but if I did that 10 times, it's going to be 2 inches farther back. And that might get me in a spot where I'm not contacting the frame of the vehicle where I need to contact it. So we always want to make sure if we're going to go back up with this car for any reason, let's say I was doing an oil change, but when I got done with the oil change, I sold some brakes on it. So I'm going to have to go back up and do the brake job. Then I don't want to put the car all the way back down. Okay. If you do, it's a good idea to just double check all of those lift arms and those lift points just to make sure they're still in the same place. We just want to make sure that you're doing it safely and nobody gets hurt. All right, and one of the last things that we want to do, our car is down on the ground. I just want to make sure that I kick these arms out. Okay, just kick that arm out. Kick this arm out. And if I'm not going anywhere with this car, let's say I'm going to leave this car in here for the night group of students. I don't want to leave it like this. If I leave it like this, another group of students is going to come in and be like, oh, this car is ready to lift up because the arms are set. Okay, and that's not necessarily true. Because if we've been up and down again, it's rolled back a little bit. You can't trust this. Okay, before you go up and down with any of our vehicles, you always want to make sure that the arms are in the correct position regardless, because you can't trust that they're still in the same spot that the previous student put them. Okay, so now at this point, if a student wants to come in and lift this car again, they're going to have to reset the rack, which is what they should do. Okay, this is all about practice and getting repetitions through this stuff. So you guys will go ahead and go through your labs and start doing your lifts on these vehicles. You're You're going to make sure that you're guiding your partner in, centered inside the rack, okay? We want that car to be centered up. We don't want it too far left, too far right. Okay, we want that vehicle centered as good as possible. Okay, that's just going to make sure that you guys get that lift up and down safely, that car up and down safely, where nobody's going to get hurt. So, from now, you can go ahead and start doing your laps.